Well, we come to the first Sunday of Advent, which means we are at the first Sunday of the beginning of the new church year. So we start 2018 a little early, at least in terms of our church calendar. It begins with Advent. And I think another name might be called Mutt Sunday. Mutt Sunday. Just like a dog that's a mutt. Well, is it German Shepherd? Well, no, it's got some Sheltie. Oh, so it's Sheltie. Yeah, but it has some German Shepherd. Oh, and there's a little mix of Cocker Spaniel. What a mutt. Well, the reason it's a mutt is because we're talking about the coming of the Lord, but we talk about it in three different ways. And actually, I went to the internet and find out all kinds of things, and I appreciate the internet because before I'd have to go run to the library, or if I didn't have the Catholic Encyclopedia lented out, I couldn't get this information, but I just go to my browser and bloop, 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 and all this stuff. And I discovered something wonderful. For 41 years as a priest, and even my year as a deacon, I preached about the threefold coming of Christ, but I didn't know this. And I bet no one here knows this. Do you know who originated this? Well, I think originated, but we have his actual Advent homily. Do you know who it is? Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, our patron saint. Yes, bravo. Thank you, Bernard. Thank you. And I'm not going to read his homily. That would be great testimony, but I'm going to just read very briefly. This comes from his homily, and it's a very concise expression, which we heard in the introduction, which might also be in my pastor notes, I'm not sure. But this is a kind of a small, concise expression of what his homily was in Advent. And it's just interesting because I say to myself, if anybody ever remembers one of my homilies while they're alive is something, but imagine if 4 centuries later they're quoting a homily from Father Perry Dean Leiker. I'm going to say, whoa, 4 centuries later? And this is how long? Is he 1500 or 10? When? I don't remember, St. Bernard. Okay, who knows his death date, the year? Oh, that's shameful, isn't it? None of us know. But he says, we know that the coming of the Lord is threefold. The third coming is between the other two, and it is not visible in the way they are. The first coming was in flesh and weakness. Christmas. That's my addition, Christmas. The middle coming is in spirit and power. And the final coming will be in glory and majesty. So, he speaks of two being kind of obvious. Christmas, the birth of God in human form in the person of Jesus Christ. Do you know when we began to have Christmas celebrations in the church? It wasn't in the first century, the second century. It wasn't until I think it was 368. You can check it out later. Don't look it up now. Not until 368. That's the first record of having Christmas celebrations, celebrating the birthday of Christ, because the Christian tradition was not to celebrate birthdays, but to celebrate death days. Because the death day was the day that we said a person now comes alive for all eternity in Christ. And in fact, I went in out of curiosity and checked, when did we begin to celebrate birthdays? It's very late, very late. Sometime after at least the 10th century, people didn't celebrate birthdays. But you know who brought that to us as well as most of Christmas? Ta-da! The Germans. Most of the Christmas music and Christmas traditions and even birthdays come from the German community. And they used to share cookies and foods and eventually gifts, and then they'd light candles on those birthdays. Now, do you know the birthday song itself? Do you know when this was written? See, we don't know much, do we? I think it's 1898, but it didn't start as the birthday song. This is the original song. Good morning to you, good morning to you. That was the birthday song, and later the words were changed. Happy birthday to you. Did any teachers here ever sing that? Good morning to you, good morning. Well, we take a lot of things for granted or assume that they always were. But they weren't. So when we look at this threefold understanding of the coming of Jesus, we're being asked to extend ourselves in Mutt Sunday in different directions. The easiest one, although it didn't start for a few centuries, is Christmas, to celebrate the birth of Jesus. Was it on December 25th? I'll almost say with 100%, 99.999% assurance, no. The reason that date got picked was because of March 25th, when we celebrate the conception of Jesus. And that was the earlier celebration that evolved, therefore, well then, when was Jesus born? 9 months later, December 25th. Plus, it played into dealing with a whole bunch of pagan things. I think it's December 22nd, which is the longest night of the year, the solstice. And therefore, the what? 21st? Okay. She said 21st, I say 22nd. You can Google it later and check us, okay? In any case, it's right there around Christmas. And what's the point of it? That what would light up the darkness best? Christ the light. And so when we began to celebrate Christmas, that date was given because of March 25th, and also because it came in the dead of darkness, in the dead of night. And it also then began to be celebrated in place of all of those pagan celebrations that were around darkness and light. Perfect. But nonetheless, if you stop and think of all the things that we do in the church, probably the most simple, humble, beautiful, and heartwarming, touching celebration is Christmas. Even the children, if they come here and sleep through Mass, they're not asleep on Christmas. And they can't wait to get to that manger and see the baby Jesus. They love the baby Jesus. Everyone loves the baby Jesus. That's an easy one. One that's a little harder, but at least, well, we're prepared well for it. The last couple weeks of the church year and then all of Advent. What we're really talking about is not the coming of Jesus in Christmas. That's not until the fourth Sunday. We're talking about, just as we heard today in the gospel, the coming of Jesus at the end of time. And here's the warning: be alert, be awake, because Jesus may come on that last day when everything will be taken up in His glory, and we better be ready for it, because He will come like a thief in the night. We don't know the day, we don't know the hour, we don't know the moment. Be ready, be alert. Well, I'm going to speak for all humanity from the time of Jesus. We've been waiting over 2,000 years, Lord, and you still haven't come. So I'm not going to get too excited waiting for the coming of Jesus at the end of time, because after 2,000 years, I mean, when do you stop? When do you turn off that energy of waiting for the Lord to come? But we get it. We get it. In our belief package here in the head and the heart, we say, we believe, like God's Word says, that one day He will come again. And on one, it's easy to get at. But the hard one is the one in the middle, and that's where we live every day. So I have a different image. You know the little peek hole in the door? And usually people can't see your eyeball in it if it's one of those little tiny ones that goes out like this, And somebody knocks at the door, and you don't want to say, who is it? You want to go check out who it is first, so you go. Check out who they are before you would answer or let them in. This is maybe what Advent is really trying to get at. Recognizing who it is at the door. And I would propose to you that Jesus all day long is at the door of our lives. Not just here. This hour is another easy one. What did you do? I went to Mass to receive communion, the Eucharist. I opened my heart to Jesus Christ in the Word. In the Eucharist, I ate and drank of the body and blood of Christ. Well, that's obvious. But did you meet Christ this morning in your family? Or were you, as they say, cara de limón, huh? Were you with a lemon face to people in the morning? What do you want? Don't bug me. I haven't had my coffee yet. Did we meet Jesus or were we? And how will it be the rest of the day? So I want to share with you, because in literature and music, one of the great themes that often pops up in so many different forms is what they call a recognition scene. It's a very dramatic thing to have a recognition scene. There's a famous one in Mozart's opera called The Magic Flute, and it's between Papageno and Papagena. Now, I want to encourage you later today to go to YouTube, if you use a computer, and just put in Papageno. That's Papageno. Papageno. And this most delightful scene will come up. It's in German. And what happens is this: Papageno is a bird catcher. He's a person in this opera, and he's dying to find his beloved wife, someone he can love forever. And he's looking, and he speaks about it often, like he'll never find her. And so he does find her. Her name will be Papagena, but she comes to him in a disguise. He's looking for a beautiful young woman, and this old woman, bent over and all wrinkled, comes up. She's going to be Papagena. But this is what happens. He has an encounter with her, and he speaks to her, and then she speaks like an old kind of witch and everything in this. But later, when she comes to him and she pulls back her disguise and reveals herself, he sings this song, and she answers him. And I'm going to start it. You'll get the picture, and then I'll just keep going. Okay, here's Papageno, and here's Papagena. And this is Mozart at his best. It's musically delicious, it's clever and funny and delightful and wonderful drama. And so he sings pa, 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 and she sings pa, 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 and he sings pa, 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 and she sings pa, 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 then he sings pa, 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 and she sings pa, 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 and he sings pa, 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 pa. And she sings pa 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 pa, and he sings pa 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 Papagena, and she sings pa 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 Papageno, and then they break into the song together. It's better on YouTube, okay? But they sing the identical notes a number of times as this scene, as they unveil this secret identity, and they are struck in a second in love. And I want to suggest to you that what Advent is, what every day of our life should be, but Advent is a startling reminder that we're all Papagenos. We're all Papagenos. And every single day, multiple times, certainly every hour, if not every other minute, there's somebody knocking at our door called Jesus Christ, and we've got the people. Do we even bother to look? Or do we just presume we know who it is? Or are we tired of looking through the peephole? But how many times today will we have an opportunity to meet Jesus Christ? It isn't Christmas Day. It's not Him at the end revealing all of His glory at the last moment of time. It's day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute of being able to reveal Christ to others through ourselves and to find Christ in others. And of course, the favorite place for God in the Scriptures is in the poor. It's in those who have nothing or little. It's in the rejected. The greatest sign of a mature Christian is that as we go through life, we have deep, deep compassion for the Christ that we meet in each other. As Jesus himself liked to say, anybody can love somebody who loves them. Anybody can love their mom, their dad, their brother, sister, although some people are having trouble there. But when we can walk among the poor and the rejected and people who reject us, Jesus' own example on the cross, Father, forgive them all. They know not what they do. Rather than to hate, He loved. Rather than seek revenge, He forgave. Advent is trying to awaken in us the Papageno, the Papagena. Advent is trying to call us to not, most of all, the reckoning of Jesus at Christmas, the beginning, or at the end of time, neither of which were we present at. But we are present today, every hour. And we have multiple opportunities today to reveal Christ and to meet Christ. And if that happens, we will truly discover the most powerful, the most wonderful, the most tremendous meaning of the season of our Advent.